first people who actually got to use it. And I used to tell my friends, you need to sign up for Facebook, but they had all graduated and no one was still in university, so I was kind of on there without any friends. Yeah, and platforms like Twitter and Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, none of that existed at the time. But over the 3 years that I was doing my PhD, social media became more prevalent in our everyday lives, and I became increasingly interested in how it gave athletes and sport organizations the potential to promote themselves and communicate with fans and stakeholders. As someone who had worked at 2 national governing bodies and a poorly funded motorsports team, I understood that social media could literally be a game changer for these types of organizations in getting their messages out to larger audiences, and I was excited about the possibilities that social media held for organizations and athletes that didn't have massive marketing budgets or the benefit of mainstream media coverage on a regular basis. At the time, I shared a tiny office with 5 other PhD students, one of whom was Galen Clavio. Galen and I constantly talked about social media, how it was going to change communication and marketing within the sport industry, and how we could study it from an academic perspective. Looking back, it was actually a really exciting time as we learned to modify and adapt traditional research methods so that we could study social media. There was no guide for how to do this, so myself and other social media researchers in those early days, such as Galen, Ann Peguerero, Jimmy Sanderson, Marian Hambrick, Ted Kean, Pat Walsh, and others who I'm not remembering at the moment, developed methods that were foundational for sport management social media research, and those methods are still used to this day. I've been extremely humbled over the past few days as I've been approached by PhD students and early career researchers who have told me that certain publications of mine have been pivotal to their own research, and they're still using them to this day. Aside from working with other scholars to develop this subfield of sport communication and marketing, one of the downsides of the early days was the pushback that we often received when we tried to publish social media research. There were desk rejections and editors and reviewers who told us social media was a passing fad, or social media didn't fit within sport management. It was frustrating to say the least, but we strongly believed in our work and felt that it was valid and important, so we persisted instead of giving in to what sometimes felt like harsh criticism. One of the first indications to me that the tide was changing was when Galen and I successfully published a study in JSM, which was focused on representations of gender in sport blogs. This was in 2011. One of my next publications after that was a study on national governing bodies' use of social media and their acceptance of it, the motivations behind using it, and how they were using it. This was published in SMR. I'll never know who the reviewers of those 2 early manuscripts were, but I'd like to say thank you to them for having an open mind when it came to research and methods that were new and different, and giving myself and colleagues the opportunity to publish our work, even though it didn't necessarily fit with historic sport management research themes. I'm also proud to say that when I was named a NASSM Research Fellow in 2015, 2/3 of the publications that allowed me to earn that honor were focused on social media. My hope for NASSM and our sport management journals is that we keep an open mind when new research streams emerge, and we embrace research that may not fit neatly within the traditional confines of sport management. And my hope for all of the young researchers who are listening to this is that you will be bold and persist with research that you believe in, that you believe is valuable, that you believe is impactful, even if it takes some time for that research to be more widely accepted. Although I'm the person receiving this award, I did not build my research profile alone, and there are many, many people who have been integral to my research who deserve much of the credit for this award. Paul Peterson was my PhD advisor and has been my longtime mentor through academia, as well as a collaborator on many projects. I will be forever grateful for his guidance and the opportunities he's given me in our field. I've also worked with over 44 different co-authors from universities around the globe on 70 journal articles, book chapters, and books. It would take too long to name all of those people, but a very special thank you goes to Dr. Lauren Birch, who is one of the best collaborators I've ever worked with, and who I'm lucky enough to now work with at Loughborough University, London. I'd also like to thank a few other close collaborators, such as Galen Clavio, Natasha Bryson, Nancy Lowe, Ashley Thompson, Michelle Hayes, Kevin Philo, Caroline Rio, and Mike Narain. There are some colleagues with whom I've never published, but who have reviewed my work, and they've done it with a critical eye. They've engaged in many deep conversations with me about my work and about research. And these people have been pivotal as well. I'll name a few of those: Bree Newland, Daniel Locke, Dan Funk, James Skinner, Thilo Kunkel, and Jay Gladden. Their insights and wisdom have made me a better researcher. And as I was sitting there tonight thinking about my research and my career, I said I must also mention Adam Karg, Heath MacDonald, Emma Sherry, and Ted Hayduck. They're some of my favorite researchers and humans. So thank you for inspiring me. And also I want to thank my friends and family who are not in academia for their understanding when I had to stay up in the early hours of the morning, which is quite often, to finish revisions on a manuscript, or when I missed out on fun weekend adventures because I needed to stay home to finish writing a manuscript or to analyze data. Being the friend or family member of an academic can be challenging, and I appreciate the understanding and patience that those closest to me have had throughout my career. A very special thank you goes to my husband, Martin, who is my biggest supporter, a fantastic listener, and who came to NASSM this year just so that he could be here tonight for this awards ceremony, so thank you. And finally, one more thank you. I need to thank my colleagues from Loughborough, London, who are the very best team I have ever worked with. And that includes Lauren Birch, Jackie Muller, Maddie Orr, Emily Hayday, Dan Reed, Holly Collison-Randall, and Eddie Mighton. Thank you once again to NASSM and to everyone who has helped me throughout this research journey. I'm extremely grateful for your support. Thank you.